So I've been editing this video since I got home from this ride earlier today, or yesterday, I guess, at noon. It's already 2:30 a.m., so I'm just going to do the last few laps of Alviso all in one shot. So up until this point, it's been surging and attacking until it's not. We're doing one more strung out surge here for reasons I can't explain, but I do go up to 800 watts, which is basically my sprint. Then we all stop pedaling, which is basically how I ride when I'm not at Alviso, so now you've seen everything that I can do. By the way, that lap counter is off by 1. It's going to say 9, should be 10. You're going to see Jeff hold up 3 in a little bit, so you know that I'm right and that lap counter that I created is wrong. Yeah, see what I mean here? We just stopped pedaling, and I'm still not pedaling. This is awesome. Yeah, see, but this is the thing, right? I mentioned this earlier, but we were attacking and surging a whole lot before we got to this point. So everyone's tired. I'm tired too. Yeah, see, 0 watts, 100 watts. It's really funny when this happens because nobody wants to be the one that makes the move. So then you think to yourself, maybe I should be the one to go make the move, but then you end up not wanting to, you end up just wanting to play, who wants to make the move chicken, because conforming is cool. Yeah, so at this point, I'm really just waiting for somebody else to make a move. And perhaps the reason why nothing's happening is because everyone else is thinking the same thing. So we're just following wheels, not going to pass anybody. Oh, yeah, see, so we're really all just surfing wheels, waiting for someone else to go. And I guess we're just going to keep doing this until somebody gets bored. Yeah, you'll see that my heart rate's super low. It's at 162. I'm super short, so I'm kind of like a hummingbird. I can get all the way up to 196, 190. I can hold 180 for a very long time. And it's super hot today, right? So it's the Garmin's reading 84 degrees Fahrenheit, which probably means outside is really more 90, 92-ish, just because when the wind hits the Garmin, it cools down. So, normally when the heat's that hot, it adds 10 more beats per minute to my heart rate. Okay, so a funny thing happens here. I got off of Dave's wheel and then I put in just about 400, 500 watts for just 1 second. And then I got a gap. And then once that gap formed, people started looking around, and then here comes Blaine and then Matt. Yeah, I guess everyone's all rested up now, so now we all want to come out and play. And then here's a funny thing, Matt starts sprinting, and his sprint is so much stronger than mine that, I said, my sprint tops out at about 900, 800 watts there for just a couple seconds. So I'm about to lose this wheel. But luckily I'm able to close that gap just barely. Then I got Brian on my wheel, and then now the whole field is now strung out, and then now we're back to actually racing again. Yeah, so as you just saw there, Matt flick speed through, and then now I'm on the front, but I'm only putting in about 200, 100, 300 watts there, because I'm actually looking back to make sure, hey, do we actually have a sizable gap? Do we actually get a break to form? And we didn't, so there's really no reason for me to be on the front anymore. So I just kind of peel off to the right side, and then you can see a lot of these guys actually don't want to come around either, because we're all just waiting for to actually use our energy for a time when it matters, and right now it doesn't, since the field got stitched back up. Okay, now funny I should mention that, because right as I do, boom, Dave attacks, and he's been doing this all race today. He did this lap 1, lap 2, lap 3, and anytime that there's a lull, I notice that Dave is going to come out and make a move. So I spent so much time thinking about whether I want to chase this or not, and I finally decide I want to. Right as I do, I tell Brian to come with. He gets on my wheel, but because I waited so long, now there's this huge gap between Dave and us. But now, it's just going to be me doing this 300 watt effort, which is a lot for me. Maybe not a lot for you, but luckily I have Brian with me, so I flick him through right after we come around this corner, then he takes over. We're both looking back to see just how much of a gap we have from the field. And it's not that much, guys, in retrospect, maybe what we should have done is to chill out a little bit and just like merge back into the field and chase Dave together as a group. But in retrospect, like kind of looking at the footage, it's looking like both Brian and I kind of had that idea already because like here you can see like I'm doing 200 watts, he's maybe just doing 300 watts. And that's probably like very little for him, although it's a lot for me. And here, yeah, you can see like we're back together with the field. Dave's still way out there. Yeah, what am I doing here? So then I surge. Wow, dude, this is some dangerous footage. I'm gonna have to upload this and show you like what the heck am I doing? What was I doing? Yeah, okay. So I remember. Yeah, like at this point I was looking back and I noticed that I did have a pretty big gap. Well, not a big gap, but I was just in this like no man's land between the field, between Dave. Like there's no point in me slowing down and just integrating with the field. And I just remember thinking like, wow, like there's something dysfunctional happening in the field because we're going super slow. I'm doing 100 watts. I'm actually getting away from the field at 100 watts. So like basically that means that there's like people playing games back there to say, hey, who's going to close this down? Who's going to go bridge up to Max and then who's going to bridge up to Dave? So like what I do, like what I learned from Blaine is that when you're in this situation where you're dangling out in front, you might as well just hold tempo or just like really high Z2 in the hopes that someone bridges up. And they don't always do, but in this case, Brian actually comes with another rider. I don't know his name. I'm still new, trying to learn everyone's different like names, rough first day on the job. But basically, because I was out there like maintaining my gap by holding tempo, I was able to draw out these two riders. And then now we have a chase group of 3 guys. And like, wow, like just like this huge distance between the field and us. So like clearly there's like a ton of guys back there just kind of sitting up and looking at each other to see who's going to do the work to bridge up. And so yeah, now we're just rolling turns, trying to catch Dave. And speaking of Dave, dude, isn't this amazing? Like, look at how much of a gap Dave has on us. And then like, see now all 3 of us are committed and now we're serious because we're now trying to bridge up to Dave. And then if we do, we might actually have a chance of getting like 4 guys instead of 3. And that's going to make it even easier for us to get away from the field. Yeah, so yeah, and then like again, as a reminder, we're coming up on the final lap here because that lap counter should really be reading 11 right now, and it's about to turn into 12. I actually forget that we're coming up on the last lap, so I asked the other rider like, "Yo, what lap are we on?" And then he says, "Oh, like we're coming up on the final." And I'm like, "All right, sweet." This isn't a terrible position to be in with this much distance with or like from the field. With 1 lap to go. So this is 1 lap to go, starting now. Now, just for some perspective, we're actually not going super fast. The speedometer is saying that we're doing 30 miles per hour, but like you got to remember, this is the tailwind section. In my experience, having done this with like a group of 8 super strong guys, like we're able to hit 38 miles per hour through like the whole thing. So we're not going super fast, and yet look at how much distance we've put on the field. So yeah, definitely a lot of dysfunction probably going on there. It'd be so fun to know what the heck's going on, but I'm up here and not back there, but I'm not complaining. But hey, can we go back to Dave for a minute? Like like kudos to Dave because we've been chasing for a while now. We still haven't closed this down, which is probably speaking a lot more to our chase group being super tired. Yeah, so earlier I mentioned that the original plan was to try to bridge up to Dave so that way we can work together as a group of 4. But, now the plans have changed going into the final lap where like the strategy has reversed where the idea now is maybe let him dangle out there so that way he can kind of burn more energy, and then we in the chase group working together as a group of 3 can save more of our energy. But maybe that's just like a really cop-out way of saying, yeah, maybe our chase group just didn't have the firepower and Dave was just super strong. So who knows? It's really hard to say. So here we catch up and pass Dave. And unfortunately, we learned that he had a flat, which is the reason why he's now going backwards. And right as all this is happening, if you squint, you'll be able to see in the rear view cam that the field is actually catching up. And then now there's two breakaway riders from the field trying to now bridge up to us. Brian's looking back and I'm looking back, and we all see them coming up. So I think we're going to be able to see who they are here in a little bit. It's looking like it's Matt and Jerome. And I remember thinking, as soon as I saw that the field was catching up, like I decided, like, wherever Brian's going to flick me through, I'm just going to have to go because, well, like we did so much of this effort and I'm pretty much committed, and I'm not going to be able to have this come down to a field sprint. So, I've made moves like this before in Alviso, and I know that this effort is way too long for me. But I'm basically just banking on the fact that maybe everyone else is really tired because it was super surgy, super attacky earlier today. So, man, remember what I said earlier about 38 miles per hour, 40 miles per hour through this final stretch? Like, all I got is 30 miles per hour, and I'm just holding on for dear life. And I'm trying to do 400, 500 watts and just maintaining it. I looked at my Strava earlier. I actually averaged 400 watts in this last section here, which is so much for me. It's like double my FPV. So, yeah, you're just gonna have to see how it plays out. But then, spoiler alert, Jeff basically nips me at the line. No. Yeah, the finish line is right past the fire hydrant where the tarmac changes color, right there. Yeah, so the mistake that I made, there were two of them. One is I didn't hug the right side of the road. And had I done that, when I was looking backwards over my left shoulder, I would have seen Jeff coming, and maybe that would have been enough motivation for me to put in a little bit of a dig, even though I was pretty much capped out already. So who knows? Who knows? Second mistake was, why was I even looking over my left shoulder in the first place? Maybe I should have just put my head down and just gone a little bit harder, pedaled a little bit harder. Yeah, so,